Hey everyone, I am MSK, aka Master Swag King, coming at you guys today with another video. And if you guys are returning viewers or new viewers, then please consider subscribing to the channel if you have not already. Leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it and comment down below. Also, make sure you guys hit the notification bell. That way you guys can get notified on whenever I upload a brand new video or go live. And in today's video, we are going to be talking about, does James Gunn's Superman movie have to save Warner Brothers? So, James Gunn's DCU kicked off with Creature Commandos, and that was the soft launch, as he calls it. And then you get the bigger launch with the Superman movie that he is directing. That will be coming out in July of 2025, later on this year. And there is a lot riding on this movie, because if you guys remember what has happened with basically DC live action superhero movies, you can even just go as far as back as I like the Christopher Reeves Superman movie. We had all that drama that ended up happening with him in the later movies. The superhero movies with DC have been plagued with a lot of problems, actually. But if you just take from the most recent examples here, let's start with the DCEU. They hired Zack Snyder to direct a Superman movie because he was vouched for by Christopher Nolan. One of Nolan's most rare L's was potentially maybe getting Zack Snyder a job to direct superhero movies at DC. Zack Snyder was going to, be the Kevin Feige of DC, and we saw how that worked. Man of Steel is sure not a Superman movie, and sure not a good one at that. Yeah, some decent action scenes here and there, but not good. He had BVS, and that was trash, and Suicide Squad, which was cut up by the studio and not the real version that the director even directed. So that's just a fucked up piece of shit dog asshole movie they put out. Wonder Woman from Patty Jenkins, good, solid movie in my opinion. Then you had the Justice League debacle with the cast and firing Zack Snyder because his daughter died, and they let him go, or he took some time off, but they used it to fire him. They brought in Josh Whedon. You can remember all that. Then they had leadership changes because of AT&T, and then you brought in Walter Amada to run the film division. Aquaman comes out, billion-dollar success. Aquaman making $1 billion over a Superman solo movie, a Batman and Superman team-up movie, a Wonder Woman movie, and a Suicide Squad movie with arguably the most iconic villains of Batman's Rogues Gallery, and a Justice League movie. So even though Aquaman made all that money, you knew that was a red flag. Like, Aquaman definitely should be making more than all of these guys, at least, right? So then after that, we got into this phase basically of like them trying to kind of like rebuild a already broken foundation. Like what they should have done, now that I look back on it, because they canceled universes for less. Remember when Green Lantern came out and it didn't do what they wanted? They just like canceled it, guys, because that was supposed to lead into another bigger universe. That was supposed to be their Iron Man. That was supposed to start a DCEU originally. They stopped it because they knew it didn't hit the way they wanted to. And DC does this in comic books as well. It's not just a movie thing or TV thing, right? So then after that, for Man of Steel, they didn't do that. They knew BVS wasn't liked by a lot of people. I don't care about Snyder Bro, stupid morons. They're morons. They'll love anything Zack Snyder does. Zack Snyder, the straight up directed movie where two dudes are fucking each other in clown costumes while eating each other's shit off the floor, and they would like it. So their opinions are biased in such a way that means nothing. They like anything that guy puts out, right? So after BVS, they should have just stopped it. If you want to be technical, they should have stopped it at Justice League, because he was already filming Justice League when BVS came out at the box office worldwide at the time. So they should have just stopped it at Justice League. Be honest here, they should have started over after that. But they didn't. They kept basically kicking this can down the road. We did get Shazam. That's my favorite one. I love the Shazam movie. The first one. Second one is not good. We ended up getting like Wonder Woman 84. That sucks. We did get the Snyder Cut. Do you guys really remember that? I know for sure. I fucking don't. We got fucking hell. We got the James Gunn Suicide Squad movie. I like that one. That's my second favorite one. Really, really good. So damn, we're really fighting for fucking straws here. Like 2 out of 10, actually. Birds of Prey, garbage. That's one of the worst superhero movies ever. That movie sucks ball. That movie sucks ass. Black Adam, not really terrible, but just like meh. It's really just not good.
The Rock was terrible in that one.
Yeah, that wasn't good. Fucking hell, Flash, that sucked balls.
Yeah, but you couldn't stop talking about it. It had one of your favorite performances of the year. Plus the baby scene, the baby in the microwave. It's iconic.
We got Shazam 2. That sucked. After that, I gave up. After I watched Flash, I was like, just restart the universe. I'm done.
So after you watched all of them, you gave up?
That's the problem there. They already got, literally got so bad. I was like, why finish these out? I didn't see Blue Beetle. Honestly, because it was that the whole Batman's a fascist thing. That wasn't really it. It was just like, I just didn't care at that point. It was not to do with cinematic or anything like that. And people go, oh, if it doesn't have a sequel, then I can't watch it. It had nothing to do with that. I just didn't think it looked that appealing, honestly.
By that time, everyone knew the universe was over. James Gunn was already in charge by that time. So
and
the Aquaman.
I'm not going to say it was a great one, but it was better than a lot of the other DC ones.
I just didn't care.
Yeah, it's kind of meh. It was just middle of the road.
And then you got Aquaman 2. I didn't watch that.
I didn't bother to see that one.
Me neither.
I did watch that when it was on. I think it was on Netflix or HBO Max for free, and I watched it.
That one had 5 cuts or something like that to it. Did it feel like a real movie?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, what happened was they were trying to reset the Snyderverse and go into Flashpoint
and change the tone,
and change everything.
Yeah.
Then James Gunn got hired, and then they went back and did more reshoots because then they were like, okay, well, now we can't set up a new universe if James Gunn's taking over.
That was another problem with them
originally.
Too, right?
Originally, Michael Keaton was supposed to be at the end of Flash. They filmed scenes with him.
We saw
after
pictures.
Flash comes back. We saw pictures of it. Yeah.
Yep.
Then they changed that to Clooney, and then they did the connectivity with Blue Beetle didn't mean anything, and then Aquaman always felt like it was in a different universe, anyways.
Yeah.
So,
they wasted money going back and reshooting films they knew wouldn't have mattered in the grand scheme of things because they were going to start in a whole new universe. I mean, we have the Batman that came out with Robert Pattinson, but that's DC Elseworld Black Label shit. I mean, I think I don't think the Joker 2 movie that came out, even though it bombed pretty bad, I don't know if it'll have an impact, because the problem here with that argument is well, if no one
would that have any impact?
Because
they're
if no one
unrelated.
Because if no one really went and watched it, then they won't really then they won't really have that bad taste in their mouth going into this one. Because some movies can kind of blend together. People watch them all in a row, so they're thinking oh, that was the last thing in my head. So I don't know if I'm gonna be checking this out. So it's good thing, since nobody fucking cared to watch that not good movie. Then won't matter for Superman, obviously. You
have to remember too. With Marvel, we talked about how they have a problem with people with faith in their product because they're having bad stuff. Now
DC's always had that.
Now we're having a reboot. So now it's well, this is James Gunn. If you like James Gunn, Guardians of the Galaxy, Suicide Squad, this is all brand new. This is Superman. If it doesn't, it's not going to go through all the crazy reshoots and ballooning budgets that Marvel's going through right now.
Yeah.
So if Superman does $1 billion, it's going to do $1 billion on $150 million budget with probably another $100 million for ads. So around $200-300 million, it's going to do $1 billion. It's going to make a bunch of money. The problem that they're not facing is what Marvel is Marvel's facing the problem of a movie that Captain America should do $400-500 million, but it should have only cost them $150 to make it. They should get those costs down and not let these ballooning reshoots and this other crap happen. So I think that's one of the things. Gunn has good momentum going into Superman. Superman is an iconic character. And also there's positive around everything he's done. So Suicide Squad was positive. Creatures Commandos is positive. Peacemaker's positive. So he's riding a wave into Superman, which is going to help the project out because it is make or break. Marvel or Disney can do Avengers 1, have it flop, Avengers Dark or Doom, whatever, and have it do decently and still survive. Warner Brothers is like, we're going to sell this to Apple if you guys don't make a decent DC movie. I mean, they're in like bad shape right now. So I think this film has a lot going for it, and I think James Gunn has a lot of good faith. But it's what the universe needed, was a real hardcore reboot. Like, Marvel's trying to do a reboot storyline wise inside the universe.
It reminds me so much of their comics. Like, Marvel doesn't do reboots. They'll just stick through bad periods and keep you in a bad period forever.
They're doing DC a big collective event, and
DC just does reboots constantly. There's so many parallels between their comic book universe and their movie ones. Between them both, it's crazy, right? And then, you know, as Warren said, they eventually hired their own Kevin Feige, because people did say this, and I agree with this one. They needed a Kevin Feige because Marvel did have success with a leadership figure that kind of, I guess you could say, had an outline, but, you know, got most of the success through the directors, right? But DC never had that, and they needed that, and he gave them that. David Zaslav coming in with the merger and everything, because if you guys remember, AT&T, they sold it to Discovery. They got David Zaslav there, and he was like, hey, we need to prioritize DC because DC is very big. And he said Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings is the other ones, right? He said Shark Week was a very valuable asset to DC, or sorry, to Warner Brothers. Hell yeah, I agree. Fuck yeah. Shark Week for life. But that's the other thing, which is, I mean, I believe in James Gunn. I think he can do it. I've read his interviews talking about Superman. I have, and it looks like he really gets Superman, honestly. Because remember, it was originally called Superman Legacy. But fun fact, guys, we never had a Superman movie get released theatrically called Superman, ever. Because people say, what about the Christopher Reeves one? No, it's called Superman the movie. It's all campy titles are back in the day. But in my opinion, I don't think there's been a good Superman movie, I guess, live action since that original one. Because Superman 2, I'll be honest, I don't remember that much. I know I watched it, but I don't remember it that much. Superman 3, I remember watching it, but I don't really fucking remember, honestly. Superman 4 is the one where he's lasering the Great Wall of China. Supergirl. Superman Returns is trash. Superman Returns sucks. You know what? I don't know who sims for Superman Returns. Guys, Superman Returns stinks. Oh, he sucks ass. Man of Steel. It's also not good. So yeah, not a good Superman live action movie since the original. Holy fucking shit. So I personally believe Superman has been done better justice in animation and TV shows like Smallville and Superman and Lois. I think he's been done justice there. Obviously Superman the animated series, you know, he's been in like Superman versus the Elite was a very good animated movie. Superman Man of Tomorrow was good. As I think that was the only decent one out of that Tomorrowverse they tried doing. Death of Superman is a classic for a lot of people. Like, he's just treated better in animation and TV, and I would hope that this movie can do that. I think what this movie needs to do, you know, to balance out this ensemble cast, and I do believe James Gunn can do it. He's been in the ensemble cast thing with superheroes for a while, with Suicide Squad and Guardians of the Galaxy. If anyone can balance out big casts, it's him, because that is the curse of superhero movies with big casts, is they kind of don't get the screen time and things kind of feel kind of stitched up with a lot of characters. Fully understandable. But there is box office pressure for Superman. Now, I will also say this. You guys know how hard I shit on movies that don't make profit for studio. If Superman doesn't make profit for Warner Brothers, I gotta justifiably shit on it the same way. I'm a pretty consistent guy here. You know, I don't know the movie's budget. I don't. But I would imagine this movie's budget, if I had a ballpark, it has to be around what Brave New Worlds is, at least 180 minimum, at least. If it's less than 180, I would be surprised. And you got to factor in marketing. So I would put it around 200, 250 if I had a number in my head that I could throw out there for you guys. So this movie got to be bringing in like $800, $900 million to be a profitable, successful studio. Breaking even, not what Warner Brothers Studios needs right now. They don't need break even. You need fucking some money here. You know, we need actual cash. So what do you guys think the budget is? Do you guys think it's like 300? Do you think it's 200, 180, 150?
I'm going to go with 150.
Okay. Gray, what do you think the budget is?
You know, I don't want to agree with you, so
God.
I can't say 180 now. Yeah, I don't know. I got to go like 160 or something like that, because, well, I guess I'll lowball it. I'll go 120. Let's go ahead and just go slightly over. 100 mil for this one. I mean, it's got to kick off this entire new universe, and they are expecting it to be a huge hit. So I have to think they're spending big on it. But
You have to. Yeah,
there's
you're
not
right. Yeah.
there's not a lot of huge names in it. It's not like they're hiring like a Downey Jr. or anything like that. Like
Mhm.
Nicholas Holt is kind of huge, but I mean, he's not on that level. So I don't know, man. Maybe they could do it for like 100 mil.
Also,
but
when this movie's coming out in July, guys, you have Jurassic World 7. Then you have Fantastic Four.
oh shit,
They're
it's
all-
got the July opening.
and they're all
it's
coming
got to be a
out
bigger
1 week
budget.
after each other. And then this one's coming out, I think, before Fantastic Four, or I think it's Fantastic Four first, and it's this one, then it's Jurassic Park. So that's a big month. And July usually is the biggest month for cinemas, right? I think they might all just end up cannibalizing each other. I think Jurassic Park is in a league of its own. That's going to make $1 billion. People love dinosaurs. And if they change up the tone of it, what?
Other way from what I see. Superman July 11th, Fantastic Four July 25th. So
okay, good. Okay, so Superman is first, you said, right? Okay. So
that's what I'm showing.
They might all end up cannibalizing each other. That's crazy competition that month. I could easily see one of them pushing itself. Do you guys think one of them will end up pushing each other back? I don't see it. I don't see any of them pushing out of that. I don't think so.
It's competing studios. And I think Disney's going to get that huge push. I think that's one of the reasons why they're doing Superman first. But I don't know, man. I think people have more faith in DC, but maybe that's just me.
I agree with that too. I mean, there's not much. The trailer for Fantastic Four didn't create a lot of hype.
It was okay.
It was okay.
Fine. Yeah.
So it depends on how well Thunderbolts does, but if Thunderbolts is a mess and then they're moving into Fantastic Four territory, if Superman is good and it has like 2 weeks to be in the box office, so number one for 2 weeks, and then Fantastic Four comes out and it has a drop off. If Superman isn't any good, though, it might have a huge drop off the next weekend. So word of mouth is pretty powerful with these things. So we'll have to see how that one goes. If I was Warner Brothers, honestly, if they could have squeezed May, I would have done it, because you run a big film in a time period where you only have like 4 to 5
You saw this happen with
Mission
Impossible Dead Reckoning, where basically like you had 3 new blockbusters come out. Mission Impossible came out before the other 2, and people just chose to watch the other 2 new ones because they were the newest ones that came out on the exact same like week, and people do that. But the thing here with Superman is, how much goodwill does DC have right now with people, given how many bad movies they put out in a row with their last previous iteration of what is called someone called that a universe. I would call it a pile of shit, but that's just my opinion.
Reboot, though. I think they got a ton. Well, I mean, it's all been rebooted. What do we have? We've had, I'm forgetting, Peacemaker, and then Creature Commandos. And I guess you can count The Suicide. Is it? I think Guns is the added to it, right?
Did you hear any good about Creature Commandos? Was there any good word of mouth about it?
Yeah, that was positive.
Surprise. I dug it, man. It's, I think, one of my favorite DC things in a long time. And the way that he can make you feel for some of these characters that you've got no right feeling anything for. I totally trust that he could do Superman justice. He can hit those real dramatic notes. I'm digging it. So I'm looking forward to it, man.
Superman box office pressure rises as expert says DC has to save Warner Brothers from going the way of Fox. So what that could mean for a lot of people that don't know about that kind of saying is if this movie essentially bombs, which I don't think is going to happen, then they could potentially be selling off other assets of their company to stay afloat, or they could potentially be talking about a merger, because, there were rumors that Paramount and them were going to merge. Warner Brothers was going to get bought out by like Apple. There's any way that it basically means if this doesn't work, problems are going to arise. Let's just say that. That's why I said in that last video we did talking about DC, I hope they don't keep announcing stuff, because announcing all that stuff, because everything hinges on this. So we should announce stuff and get a plan after this works to see what really works and what's the gauge of how successful this is. But nevertheless, let's start going through and getting these juicy, spicy, hot and sexy details. A new report details the high expectations from Warner Brothers Discovery for James Gunn's new Superman movie and the larger DC universe. 2025 marks the year of the Man of Steel's return to the big screen, with Gunn's Superman movie set to arrive this summer. Since Superman will set the foundation for the rest of the DCU, there are a lot of expectations for how the David Cornsweet starring film will perform across the world. According to Puck, experts are claiming that Warner Brothers Discovery is extremely dependent on Superman's performance through DC Studios. In a new report from Puck, the word is that the movie has now taken on almost incalculable importance to Warner Brothers Discovery. If Warner's can't finally make the DC franchise work, there is genuine fear that the studio will go the way of Fox, which was swallowed by Disney in 2019. According to a Warner Brothers veteran, they stated the following about David Zaslav's hope for DC Studios in terms of Warner Brothers Discovery's future. The quote is, an essential element of the stock price is believing that the IP of DC is meaningful. David bet big that they can show the world that the DC IP can have real value. I believe that has real value too. I think it's never been given its true justice in live action, honestly. Superman is the first movie that will set the tone. They have a tremendous amount riding on it.
Hey, congratulations on pronouncing incalculable. Hell yeah.
I'm a genius for a reason. You think I work for CNN?
One day, maybe.
Hell yeah, I can be that DEI hire. It's crucial to remember that even though the DC franchise has barely begun, there are a lot of other factors to take into consideration when it comes to DC's reception with the general audience. As much as Superman's box office results will be imperative, the response from critics and audience members is going to be more important than ever for DC Studios, especially after the last couple of years with the DCEU. While the DCEU movie timeline began with financial and fairly critical success, that's not true. That's actually not true at all. That's a fucking lie. Those movies started out with incredibly divisive reactions. Man of Steel is generally 50-50 with a lot of people. I would say more unfavorable than favorable. BVS, I don't think I've met a single human being that genuinely likes that movie outside of like Zack Snyder bro fanatics. That movie's fucking terrible. And then the Suicide Squad movie came out, that horrible chopped up edited one that wasn't even what the director had even made. Yeah, it never happened. But it only went south for every year that the franchise existed because the movies fucking stunk. As the DCEU began to suffer at the box office in light of fans not responding to their films, it got worse for every installment that would come afterwards since the audience gave up on their interest in this series of films. Yeah, people just gave up interest. Literally, if you couldn't even do Justice League or Superman or Wonder Woman or Batman, good. People are going to give up. Also, guys, at Zack Snyder, he was the impression for a lot of people, and his DC movies are definitely not fucking good at all. And that was the impression they got. Oh my God, my hopeful Superman is killing people. Oh my God, my Batman is like this. Oh my, Pat Jenkins did Wonder Woman, but people like that one, I guess. But that was, Zack Snyder is the first impression on these people. That's why people give up interest. So if he's the reason, so if people lost interest, it was because of him, not because of anything else. That guy's a fucking hack. By the time 2023 wrapped up the DCEU franchise for good, every release that year underperformed for Warner Brothers Discovery and now the defunct DC Films division. This is why the Superman movie release will need as good reviews as possible with word of mouth, ideally helping fans get invested and excited for DC on the big screen. While there is pressure for the Superman movie, the upcoming DCU release has already shown a lot of promising signs that could easily lead to great financial success. To begin with, Gunn is a huge sell for general moviegoers. I agree with that, especially after his Guardians of the Galaxy trilogy for Marvel Studios, with each installment being a commercial hit and mostly met with strong reception. Given Gunn's track record as a filmmaker, who is now also co-CEO of DC Studios and crucial in establishing the DCU, his role in writing, directing, and producing the movie holds some considerable promise. One of the biggest concepts fueling the DCU timeline is this continuity focused on a world where many superheroes are already established in this franchise. I know some people disagree with that. They would prefer all of the setup. I will say this: a lot of the DC stuff we watch that we know and love never had that. They never had the setup per se. It was kind of like, hey, I'll just make something good with the character that exists and kind of write a good story around that already existing, and then later you can get the backstory. I don't mind that approach. More people would have preferred a more traditional, I want it from the ground up. I don't disagree with that. But if you look at all the best DC stuff ever, they never had that. It was always, hey, this exists already. Let's kind of like explore this world with a good story. You know, that's my opinion. Based on what has been shown thus far, it seems the DCU is aiming to bring an element of old school heroism while also giving it a modern touch at the same time, which looks as though it could help Superman stand out in the current comic book climate. The current comic book climate is trash. If it can't stand out in this garbage era, well, I mean, I guess it was always going to be destined to fail anyway. Because what's the competition? Brave New World, the Thunderbolts, and Fantastic Four? Oh, God. Oh, help me, Jesus. With Superman being the big icon that he is, having a film that isn't another origin, but just gets the Man of Steel, the Man of Tomorrow back into cinema, also has some considerable appeal. While Superman is primarily Clark Kent's story, the upcoming comic book adventure will also introduce other famous DC superheroes, with Krypton's last son still being early into his journey as a superhero. The Superman cast, which consists of multiple famous crime fighters, also elevates Clark's overall arc, especially with the Man of Steel and the other heroes operating in different contexts. However, their purpose isn't set up to spin-offs, which is good. You know, just let this movie come out and see where it goes. You don't need to be announcing a bunch of random spin-offs for characters that people may or may not even enjoy. And keep in mind, not every character needs a spin-off, as we keep saying, but rather to serve as a contrast to the journey Clark will go on in Superman. While time will tell how Superman actually does financially and critically, the marketing has so far been on a good trajectory, especially with the release for the first trailer back in December 2024. Since Gunn is still in post-production on Superman, it remains to be seen when the second trailer will be released as they get audiences more hyped for the film. But for now, the world will have to wait to see how Superman will perform this summer when Krypton's last son flies back into theaters. Oh yeah, we haven't gotten an official trailer yet. That first one was just kind of like a teaser, you know? I didn't mind the trailer. I had some issues with it, but I didn't hate the trailer at all. I thought it was fine. So this next one, I think, needs to be a little bit bigger of a hit, in my opinion. Like, need to see him in the next trailer genuinely interacting with people, talking and stuff like that. I feel like that was lacking from the first trailer. Everything else was fine, but like not seeing him interact and be Clark Kent was odd, but I get it. Just a teaser. But what about you, Warren? What are you thinking?
Well, I'm a huge James Gunn fan, so I'm like so positive about this film. I'm really almost a bad person to critique it because I'm just like, it's going to be good. It's going to be good. It's going to be, I'm trying to will it into existence.
Yeah.
I think the next trailer should have a lot of Lex in it. I would like to see, even maybe a monologue by him while the trailer goes on as an overlay, some more Lex Luthor. I was happy with what I saw in the trailer. I'm happy with what I hear about during James Gunn interviews. He's a real big fan of Christopher Reeve's Superman, which I am too. I like the idea of what he's doing with it, and it's just, I think it's going to be a good success for him. I just don't know about, like, if it isn't. Let's play that game where it's just a bomb, right? Just a failure.
Mm-hmm.
I could see DC Studios being sold to Apple or to Netflix or to something along those lines. Whoever's willing to pony up the cash if this doesn't work out.
Mm-hmm.
Like you'd see James Gunn pretty much, essentially they would just sell off, and then all the future films would, the only ones that would come out would be Wonder Woman or the Supergirl movie, because it's already filmed, or they're filming it right now. I don't think they started filming Clayface yet, so we would get a couple more movies and then it would be sold to Netflix or some shit. Who knows? I don't even know what that would do to the comic books, because that's a whole other thing too. Like, imagine this: they sell the IPs to Apple, and Apple could give a shit less about comic books.
Oh yeah,
they might shut down all floppy production, or straight to digital through their app, and then we might only get graphic novels. I mean, it could happen. It's weird.
Or they do this thing of like, you need to sell me, you need to make money. They cut down half their line, and they only make titles that people actually pay for, which would be fucking whole godsend. But
well, there's always that too, yeah.
Gray, what is your final thoughts and opinions on, does James Gunn's Superman movie have to save Warner Brothers, actually?
You know, I think it kind of does, but I mean, this is setting up how everything's going to be. And, you know, we've just had kind of a disappointment with Marvel. And prior to that, we had a disappointment with DC. So I don't know. I think this is everybody's first kind of taste at what this new thing is going to be. I know not everybody watched Creature Commandos, hardly anybody. But, you know, we did have kind of a taste with his previous The Suicide Squad and then Peacemaker. I think people know kind of what Tony's going to go for with the universe, but this is his first time tackling this character. And if he gets the tone wrong, which I haven't seen from either the teaser trailer or the trailer, so I don't know. I have a lot of faith in him, and I would like to see exactly what Warren pointed out in the next trailer. But yeah, I think this is kind of make or break for them. I think this is going to be whether people have faith in this or they want to look to kind of the alternative comic book things, which Invincible has been doing kind of amazing. So I think they might be going like that in the boys route, and then maybe that would give a chance for some lesser known properties to come out instead of just these tentpoles if somehow this doesn't succeed. But I have faith in them. I think it's going to. That's why I'm white knighting for Superman. You know, I think James Gunn's got this.
I have faith in Gunn. In Gunn, I trust.
I believe, you know, that James Gunn can do it as well. But Warren, where's your closing thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a smart reboot for him. I think the budget's going to be a lot lower than what people think. I think it's going to end up causing a really top end when it clears $1 billion. I could see this movie clearing $1 billion, especially with the overseas market. If they seem to be going for an older feel, but with a modern look. So I think Gunn's going to pull it off, and I think this could be a good launch for him. If it doesn't, it's going to be DC Studio. I don't think it's not an end for Warner Brothers, but it might be an end for DC Studios, where they're like, well, these IPs are useless to us. You know, Sony, do you need, you know, how much would you give us for them? Or Netflix, or, you know, Universal. I mean, who knows where this could happen? But I have faith in James Gunn, and I think it's going to do good.
All right. As for me, you guys know this movie pretty much has to do well. I mean, there's a lot riding on this. I mean, Warner Brothers made some incredibly bad financial decisions for, well, most of their company's existence. Let's just say that. But when it came to basically them getting that Discovery merger, I think David Zaslav, while generating some type of revenue for them, that's not going to be enough. Like, they're in so much debt. Like, you would have to be generating hundred millions of dollars of consistent cash flow to get them out of it, you know. But if the DC, you know, franchise can be successful at the box office or any other way they're trying to make, you know, money off of it, what they could do, and I'll just tackle this one last thing before we end this. If they ever want to capitalize on the comic book route, like if their movie franchise is successful, I would highly recommend making a comic book related universe for their property. That way you could get people that read comic books in the universe. Marvel really messed up with that with the MCU, because they're talking about doing this whole Summer of Superman event with Superman. You know, why not, you know, think about doing a comic book route for this universe? And I understand James Gunn wants to tie in everything with video games, movie, television, animation, all that stuff, which is good. We should have an interconnected universe of continuity. It's completely fine. But if you want to get people more interested, I think the comic book route won't be a bad idea at all. But so yeah, James Gunn, there's a lot riding on you. I think you're going to do a good job on the Superman movie, so don't disappoint me. So thank you guys for checking out this video. If you guys are returning viewers or new viewers, then please consider subscribing to the channel if you have not already. Leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it and comment down below. Also, make sure you guys hit the notification bell. That way you guys can get notified on whenever I upload a brand new video or go live. I am MSK, aka Master Swag King, and we're going to sign out, guys. See you guys later. Deuces. Peace.